Many people believe that making a man miss you is about playing games, sending mixed signals, or disappearing without explanation. But true influence does not come from manipulation. It comes from understanding a principle that has shaped human psychology for centuries. People value what they cannot completely possess. Robert Greene often explores how desire grows in the presence of mystery, distance, and emotional independence. The more available something becomes, the more the mind adapts to its presence. Scarcity, on the other hand, awakens curiosity and appreciation. This is why constant availability rarely creates longing. It creates familiarity, and familiarity without balance often weakens attraction. When you make yourself available every moment of the day, replying instantly to every message, rearranging your schedule whenever he calls, and constantly seeking his attention, you unknowingly remove the emotional space where anticipation is born. The human mind is naturally drawn toward what it must work to understand or earn. If every answer is immediate and every door is always open, there is little reason for the imagination to remain active. It is in absence that memories become louder. It is in silence that emotions often reveal their true strength. This does not mean becoming cold, distant, or pretending not to care. It means respecting your own time and recognizing that your life has value beyond any relationship. A person who is deeply engaged in personal goals, meaningful friendships, passions, and self-development radiates a quiet confidence. That confidence communicates something powerful without words. My happiness does not depend on your attention. Ironically, this is the very attitude that often increases attraction because it shifts the dynamic from neediness to self-possession. People remember how someone made them feel, not how many messages they received from them. Instead of overwhelming him with constant communication, create moments that carry emotional weight. A thoughtful conversation, genuine laughter, calm confidence, or sincere encouragement leaves a stronger impression than endless texting throughout the day. Emotional quality always outweighs emotional quantity. The mind naturally returns to experiences that felt authentic and emotionally significant. Patience is another form of strength that many underestimate. The desire to chase often comes from fear. The fear of being forgotten, replaced, or losing connection. Yet fear produces impulsive actions, while confidence produces measured decisions. When you resist the urge to constantly seek reassurance, you allow the relationship to breathe. That breathing room gives him the opportunity to notice your absence, reflect on your value, and experience the natural longing that cannot exist when you are always within reach. Remember, attraction is not sustained by constant presence but by meaningful presence. Scarcity is powerful only when it is supported by genuine self-worth, emotional maturity, and a fulfilling life. When your time, energy, and attention become valuable because they are invested wisely rather than given endlessly, you no longer need to chase anyone. Your absence begins to speak with greater force than endless words ever could. One of the greatest mistakes people make in relationships is allowing their emotions to dictate every action. The moment anxiety takes control, they begin sending extra messages, seeking constant reassurance, over-explaining their feelings, or trying harder to regain attention. They believe that increasing effort will increase affection. In reality, emotional desperation often produces the opposite effect. Robert Greene frequently emphasizes that true power belongs to the person who remains composed under emotional pressure. Self-control is not about suppressing feelings. It is about refusing to let emotions control your decisions. When you master your emotional responses, you become far more attractive than someone who constantly seeks validation. Validation is one of the strongest psychological addictions. Many people unknowingly measure their worth by how quickly someone replies, how often they receive compliments, or how much attention they are given. The problem with depending on external validation is that it places your emotional state in someone else's hands. The moment another person becomes responsible for your confidence, you surrender your independence. Genuine confidence begins when your self-worth remains stable, regardless of another person's temporary attention or absence. A man naturally notices the difference between someone who needs approval and someone who simply enjoys connection. The first relationship feels heavy because every interaction carries emotional pressure. The second feels refreshing because it is based on freedom rather than expectation. When your conversations come from genuine interest instead of hidden insecurity, they become more engaging. There is no silent demand behind your words. There is only authenticity, and authenticity creates emotional comfort. Learning to pause before reacting is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. If he becomes busy or takes longer to respond, avoid creating stories that immediately assume rejection. Most emotional mistakes happen because people react to assumptions instead of reality. A calm mind observes before acting. It allows time to reveal the truth instead of forcing unnecessary conflict. This quiet patience communicates emotional maturity, something that is rare and deeply respected. Emotional stability also creates mystery. When every feeling is immediately expressed, there is little left to discover. But when your emotions are balanced and intentional, people become naturally curious about your inner world. They begin paying closer attention because they cannot easily predict every reaction. This is not about playing games or pretending to be indifferent. It is about becoming emotionally disciplined enough that your actions are guided by wisdom instead of impulse. The strongest relationships are built between two emotionally secure individuals, not between one person constantly chasing reassurance and another constantly providing it. When you stop searching for proof that you are valued and instead become someone who values yourself first, your entire presence changes. You speak with greater confidence, listen more carefully, respect your own boundaries, and carry yourself with quiet certainty. That quiet certainty often leaves a deeper impression than dramatic displays of affection ever could, because true attraction grows where emotional strength, patience, and self-respect quietly exist together. Many people believe that if they want someone to stay interested, they must make that person the center of their world. They gradually abandon hobbies, postpone personal goals, spend less time with friends, and organize their lives around one relationship. At first, this may seem like devotion, but over time it creates an unhealthy imbalance. Robert Greene often points out that people are naturally drawn to those who possess purpose, independence, and a life that feels rich even without constant attention from others. The more complete your own life becomes, the more valuable your presence appears. A person who is fulfilled is admired because they choose companionship rather than depend on it. When your days are filled with meaningful work, personal ambitions, learning, fitness, creativity, or strong friendships, you naturally become more interesting. Every experience adds depth to your personality. Instead of waiting for someone to call or message, you are actively building a future that excites you. This changes your energy completely. Your conversations become richer because you have new ideas, experiences, and perspectives to share. You no longer rely on the relationship as your only source of excitement. That independence creates quiet confidence, and confidence is far more attractive than constant availability. A man is more likely to miss someone whose life continues moving forward than someone who pauses everything for his attention. If every hour of your day revolves around him, there is little room for him to wonder what you are doing or to appreciate your presence. But when you are genuinely occupied with your own passions and responsibilities, your absence becomes natural rather than forced. He begins to recognize that your time is valuable because it is invested in meaningful pursuits. Value is often measured by how wisely something is used, and your time is no exception. Building a complete life also protects your emotional well-being. Relationships naturally experience moments of distance, busy schedules, and temporary uncertainty. If your entire happiness depends on one person's attention, every small change feels like a crisis. However, when your identity is rooted in your own values, goals, and achievements, temporary silence no longer shakes your confidence. You remain emotionally stable because your sense of purpose exists independently of the relationship. This independence should never be confused with emotional coldness. It does not mean refusing affection or avoiding connection. Instead, it means understanding that love is an addition to your life, not the foundation of your identity. Healthy relationships grow stronger when two complete individuals choose to walk together instead of expecting one another to fill every emotional need. The strongest attraction often develops between people who respect each other's individuality while sharing meaningful moments together. Personal growth also has a magnetic effect because it signals progress. Whether you are learning a new skill, improving your health, advancing your career, reading challenging books, or developing greater emotional intelligence, you become a constantly evolving person. Growth creates freshness. It prevents stagnation and gives others new reasons to admire and appreciate you. People are naturally curious about those who continue to transform themselves instead of remaining the same year after year. Another overlooked aspect of living a complete life is the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you commit to a goal and follow through, you strengthen your self-respect. That inner respect changes how you speak, how you carry yourself, and how you handle relationships. You stop begging for attention because you understand your own value. You stop fearing temporary distance because your fulfillment does not disappear when someone becomes busy. Instead, you continue moving forward with calm determination. Ironically, the less your happiness depends on one person, the more enjoyable your presence becomes. There is no pressure, no desperation, and no hidden expectation. You are free to enjoy the relationship without sacrificing your individuality. That freedom creates emotional space where appreciation can grow naturally. When a man sees that your life is meaningful, purposeful, and full, even without constant validation from him, he begins to recognize that your presence is a privilege rather than something guaranteed. It is this quiet independence, combined with authenticity and self-respect, that often makes someone remember you, appreciate you, and miss you far more deeply than endless pursuit ever could. One of the greatest misunderstandings about attraction is the belief that people remember those who communicate the most. In reality, they remember those who make them feel something meaningful. Robert Greene often emphasizes that emotions, not repetition, leave the deepest mark on the human mind. You can send hundreds of messages, spend every day together, and still become forgettable if your interactions lack emotional depth. On the other hand, a few genuine moments filled with authenticity, confidence, and emotional connection can remain in someone's memory for years. The goal is not to occupy every minute of his attention, but to leave an emotional imprint that lingers long after the conversation ends. An emotional imprint is created when an interaction awakens genuine feelings instead of routine responses. This happens when you listen with real interest, speak with honesty, laugh naturally, and make someone feel understood rather than judged. People rarely forget those who make them feel safe, inspired, respected, or deeply appreciated. These emotions become attached to your presence. Later, even when you are not around, the memory of those feelings returns whenever they think about you. This is how longing begins, not through constant contact, but through meaningful emotional experiences. Many people make the mistake of believing that more communication automatically creates more closeness. They text throughout the day, send endless updates, and fill every moment of silence with conversation. Unfortunately, when every interaction becomes predictable, the emotional impact gradually fades. Familiarity without emotional quality often leads to boredom. The mind stops paying close attention because nothing feels unique anymore. Instead of trying to create endless conversations, focus on creating conversations that matter. One memorable discussion can have more influence than 50 ordinary exchanges. Learning to be fully present is another powerful way to leave an emotional imprint. In a world filled with distractions, very few people truly listen. When you give someone your complete attention without constantly checking your phone, interrupting, or preparing your next response, they feel valued. That feeling stays with them. Genuine presence communicates respect in a way that words alone cannot. It shows confidence because you are comfortable enough to engage deeply instead of seeking constant stimulation elsewhere. Kindness also becomes unforgettable when it is sincere rather than strategic. Helping someone during a difficult moment, encouraging them when they doubt themselves, or remembering small details about their life creates emotional significance. These acts cannot be replaced by material gifts or dramatic gestures. They demonstrate genuine care, and genuine care leaves lasting memories. People often remember how they felt around someone long after they forget the exact conversations that took place. At the same time, avoid making every interaction emotionally intense. Relationships need balance. If every conversation is filled with heavy discussions, emotional confessions, or constant attempts to deepen the connection, it can become overwhelming. Some of the strongest memories are created through simple moments of laughter, shared experiences, quiet walks, or peaceful silence. These ordinary experiences often become extraordinary because they are associated with comfort and authenticity rather than pressure. Confidence also strengthens emotional memories. When you speak calmly, maintain your values, and remain emotionally steady during difficult situations, you become someone associated with stability. Emotional stability is attractive because it creates trust. A man is far more likely to miss someone who brought peace into his life than someone who constantly brought drama. Peace has a quiet power that many people underestimate. In a world full of emotional chaos, calmness becomes unforgettable. Finally, understand that memories are not built through force. You cannot demand that someone think about you or miss you. What you can do is create genuine moments that naturally stay in their mind. Be authentic in your words, intentional in your actions, and generous with your attention when you are together. Then allow space for those experiences to settle in his memory. The strongest emotional imprints are never created by chasing attention. They are created by offering something rare: sincerity, emotional depth, quiet confidence, and moments that continue to echo long after your presence is gone. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of communication. Many people see it as weakness, rejection, or emotional distance, when in reality it can be one of the strongest expressions of confidence. Robert Greene often explores the power of mystery and the influence of what is left unsaid. Human beings are naturally curious. When everything is revealed immediately, there is little left for the imagination to explore. But when someone carries themselves with quiet confidence and does not constantly explain, justify, or seek attention, they create a sense of intrigue. Mystery is not about hiding who you are. It is about understanding that not every thought, feeling, or moment needs to be shared instantly. One of the quickest ways to reduce curiosity is to make yourself completely predictable. If a man knows exactly when you will text, how you will react, what you will say, and how available you will always be, there is very little left for his mind to discover. Predictability creates comfort, but too much of it can weaken excitement. Curiosity thrives when there is room for imagination. This does not mean playing emotional games or deliberately confusing someone. It means allowing your life to unfold naturally instead of feeling obligated to provide constant updates or explanations. Many people become uncomfortable with silence because they fear being forgotten. The moment a conversation slows down, they rush to send another message. When a reply takes longer than expected, they immediately try to restart the interaction. This behavior often comes from anxiety rather than genuine connection. Ironically, filling every moment with communication removes the very space where longing develops. A person cannot miss your presence if they never have the opportunity to experience your absence. Healthy silence creates emotional breathing room, giving memories time to settle and appreciation time to grow. Mystery also comes from maintaining your individuality. You do not need to reveal every plan, every opinion, or every personal detail all at once. Relationships become more engaging when they unfold gradually. Each conversation should reveal another layer of who you are, allowing curiosity to remain alive. When everything is exposed immediately, the relationship can begin to feel emotionally rushed. Taking your time allows trust and attraction to develop naturally instead of being forced. Confidence is often expressed through restraint. Strong people do not feel the need to explain themselves endlessly or defend every decision. They are comfortable allowing their actions to speak louder than their words. When you become emotionally secure, you stop seeking constant reassurance that someone is thinking about you. Instead, you trust that meaningful connections are built through consistency, authenticity, and mutual effort rather than endless conversation. Silence also gives the other person an opportunity to contribute. If you are always initiating every conversation, asking every question, and carrying every interaction, the balance begins to disappear. A healthy relationship requires investment from both sides. By allowing moments of quiet, you create space for him to wonder how you are doing, what you are thinking, or when he might hear from you again. This is not manipulation. It is allowing the relationship to develop through mutual participation instead of one-sided pursuit. Another powerful aspect of mystery is emotional composure. When something disappoints you, resist the urge to react immediately. Give yourself time to think before speaking. Thoughtful responses carry more weight than impulsive emotional reactions. A calm person appears stronger because they are guided by reason rather than temporary emotion. This quiet self-control often earns far more respect than dramatic displays of frustration or insecurity. At the same time, mystery should never become emotional unavailability. There is a significant difference between protecting your peace and shutting people out. Healthy mystery invites curiosity while still allowing genuine intimacy to grow over time. It encourages meaningful conversations instead of endless explanations. It creates anticipation without creating confusion. The goal is not to make someone feel uncertain about your feelings, but to avoid making your entire life revolve around gaining their attention. Ultimately, people are drawn toward what continues to inspire curiosity. When you live with purpose, communicate with intention, and embrace moments of silence without fear, your presence becomes more memorable. Your value is no longer measured by how often you speak, but by the quality of the experiences you create. Instead of chasing attention, you allow your confidence, independence, and authenticity to leave a lasting impression. In that quiet space, curiosity grows naturally, appreciation deepens, and the absence of your presence begins to speak louder than constant words ever could. One of the deepest psychological truths in relationships is that people cherish what they have invested in. Robert Greene often writes about power, value, and human desire, and one principle appears repeatedly. Attachment grows through investment. When one person does all the pursuing, all the planning, all the emotional labor, and all the reassurance, the other person has very little reason to become emotionally attached. Effort creates ownership. Sacrifice creates meaning. Participation creates connection. If you constantly chase a man, you may gain his attention temporarily, but you often prevent him from developing the emotional investment that leads to genuine longing. Many people think love is proven by how much they give. They answer every message immediately, initiate every conversation, solve every problem, and make themselves endlessly available. At first, this may seem caring, but over time it can create a dangerous imbalance. The relationship becomes something you are maintaining alone. When a man does not have to make effort, he has fewer opportunities to feel your value. Human beings tend to appreciate more deeply what they have worked to obtain. This is why effortless access rarely creates deep attachment. Allowing him to invest does not mean becoming passive or manipulative. It means stepping out of the role of constant pursuer. Let him initiate sometimes. Let him wonder how your day is going. Let him make plans, ask questions, and contribute emotionally. When he reaches out and experiences a warm, genuine response, he learns that connection with you is rewarding. But when you remove all space by doing everything first, you unintentionally teach him that the relationship will continue regardless of his effort. Emotional investment is built through small actions repeated over time. A thoughtful message he chooses to send, a plan he makes, a conversation he initiates, or support he offers during a difficult moment, all become part of his psychological connection to you. Each investment strengthens the bond because he has placed a piece of his time, attention, and emotion into the relationship. The more meaningful those investments become, the more he begins to value the connection. Patience is essential here. When you stop chasing, there may be moments of silence that feel uncomfortable. Many people panic during those moments and rush to reestablish contact, but discomfort is not always danger. Sometimes it is simply the space where another person decides whether they will move toward you on their own. If you constantly eliminate that space, you never discover the true level of their interest. Self-respect is the foundation of this entire principle. A person who respects themselves does not beg for attention, force closeness, or repeatedly pursue someone who is unwilling to meet them halfway. They understand that mutual effort is not a luxury. It is a requirement for a healthy relationship. When you value your own time and emotional energy, you naturally expect reciprocity. Ironically, the moment you stop trying to convince someone to choose you is often the moment your presence becomes more powerful. Your calm confidence communicates that you are not driven by fear of loss. You are capable of love, but you are also capable of standing firmly in your own worth. That quiet strength changes the dynamic completely. Instead of chasing, you create the conditions where genuine desire can arise naturally. A man who invests emotionally begins to think about you when you are absent, appreciate you more deeply when you are present, and miss you not because you demanded attention, but because he has become meaningfully connected to you through his own chosen effort.